Do you use freezing panes in Excel? I often look at other people's spreadsheets and they've got the freezing panes switched on, but it's not quite working in the way they expect it to. And sometimes with a few tweaks we can get it to do what we want it to. So let's go into an Excel spreadsheet and have a look. So often when you open up the spreadsheet, they've got it set up like this and it looks good, and what you'll find is when you scroll down, the top row is frozen, and that's fine and that works. But the problem is when they want to scroll left and right, and what happens, the first couple of columns will disappear. So if you look, I've got the order ID, the customer, the contact name. Now if I want to scroll over to the right, still want to see the customer, but I can't see the details that belongs with them. So a way to get around that is to use the freeze panes feature, but not in the way you've been using it. So we're going to start by switching off any panes that you've got frozen. So let's go to the view menu at the top and go to the freeze panes button, and then just unfreeze panes, and that will switch off anything you've got frozen at the moment. What you do, and where a lot of people go wrong, is when you freeze the pane, before you freeze, you need to click just below. Oh, let me get my right shape mouse. Right, okay, I'm just going to mark where my cursor is. So my cursor's on B2 at the moment, and because I've clicked on B2, it will freeze everything above the cursor and everything to the left. Now let's say I also wanted to freeze the customer column, so let's do it slightly differently. I would click on C2. So when I click on C2, and in a moment, because of where I've clicked, it's going to freeze everything here and everything in the top row. So the cursor is used to decide where it's going to freeze panes. So let's give this a go. So click in C2, go to View, go to Freeze Panes, and choose the Freeze Panes option. Now if you look at the icon next to the words Freeze Panes, it actually says what it's going to do, because the blued out cells on the icon are what's going to freeze. It's going to freeze the left and the top, and if you look at top row, it's just got blued out on the top row, and on the first column it's got some blue squares on the first column. So look at the icons really closely, because they do tell you exactly what's going to happen. So click on Freeze Panes, and let's give this a go. So up and down it's frozen, that's what it was before. But if I go to the right, you'll see the customer name stays there, and I can keep moving over to the right, and then the customer name will stay there, making it much easier. So let's just recap on that again. We're going to unfreeze, so freeze panes, unfreeze. So this time I want the first 3 columns and the top row, so I'm going to click in D2. Remember, to the left and above will be frozen. Freeze panes again, and now it will leave the first 3 columns in place, or if I go up and down, it will also leave the top line in place. Okay, now if you like that, if this is a really good idea, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. It'd be really good, and then you can follow other videos we put on, which hopefully will be useful. Now one other thing that also happens on the freezing panes, just want to talk about tables. I go on about tables quite a lot, because they're so useful in Excel. So if your data's good and you've got no merged cells, no empty columns, no blank columns, you can make your data into a table. So let's go to the home. Actually, I'm going to unfreeze the panes before I do that. So freeze panes and unfreeze. So there's nothing frozen at the moment. So let's go to the home tab. We're going to go to Format as Table, and you get all these layouts. So let's choose one of these. I quite like the medium ones because they have these things called banded rows. Okay, when you choose that, it'll ask you if your table has headers, and it does. It has headings across the top, always really important. Choose OK. Now it's quite a long data set, so it might take a moment to do. So this is what our file looks like now we've made it into a table, and I talk about tables on my other YouTube videos, and they're so useful, but one of the things tables do is they automatically freeze the top row. So if you look at the top row here, there's my top row, and if I scroll down that top row will dock. Can you see it's docked up there, and it will stay in place. So one of the advantages of making it a table is you're automatically freezing. Now the freezing panes feature can also work with tables. So if we went to D2, remember freeze panes freezes to the left and above, go to freeze panes, go to freeze panes again, so I can now scroll right and left, and I can also scroll up and down. The other feature, I'm just going to switch off my freeze panes, unfreeze, so go to freeze panes and unfreeze, so I'm going to switch it off, and the reason for that is there's a really useful feature as well that gets overlooked, and that is the split feature. And what this will do, this will split the screen into four. So let me just click in the middle of it. I'm going to go to the top to split, and you'll see there I've now got 4 panes. Now sometimes I find this a little bit overwhelming, so let's just get rid of one of them. Okay, if you double click you can get rid of one of the panes. Now you'll see that I have got I'm just going to switch that off so you can see it again. Right, we're split first, and I'm going to show you where the panes are. So what it's done is split my screen. Down here I've got a thin grey bar, and I've also got a thin grey bar going across. Now if I hover over that thin grey bar I can move it, and if I want to move either the vertical one or the horizontal one I can. Now I don't want the horizontal one, so I can just drag it over to the left and just really drag it off the screen. So I've now only got that vertical line. But what that does mean is I can scroll up on one part of the document and then scroll down. So let's just make let's go to the top. Let's make one of these parts of the table. We're going to make the font a different colour so you can see this works. So we're going to make the font red. Okay, so I'm now going to click in the bottom part of the split, and if I scroll up you'll see that red has been taken on, but I can also scroll down, and let's go further down the list, and I'm going to change the colours of another part of the table. So let's make that let's make it in a nice bright purple. Okay, so that's purple. So now if I click in the top split you can see the top one changing, and if I scroll down I should be able to see, I went further, there it is, there's the purple one. So I'm actually looking at the same document twice, but if you're needing to compare something and you need to get 2 bits of information near to each other, use the split function. That's really good. And to get rid of it I can either just double click on that grey line, or I can just go to the view tab and I can just click on split again and it will just switch it off. So freeze panes is great when you just want to freeze columns and leave them in the same place, but if you've got something in the middle of your page and you want to compare 2 figures, give the split a go. It's really good, probably quite underused but really useful. So if you like this, don't forget to subscribe. Really good to have a look at some of the other videos I do, and there's loads of useful tips out there. Thanks very much for watching, and good luck with your freezing panes.